Welcome to the Healers Café, the number one show for medical practitioners and holistic healers to have heart to heart conversations about their day to day lives while sharing their expertise for improving your health and wellness. Welcome to the Healers Cafe. Today I have with me Maggie Kelly, and she has created Satsang House Meditation and Spiritual Center around her own healing journey. And over the past 3 decades, she spent time studying under meditation experts like Eckhart Tolle, Alberto Villoldo, and Incan shamans of the Andes. And most recently, she's been immersing herself with the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza, which has become the perfect complement to the way she teaches and practices meditation, as well as to the energy healing side of her work. So I think I might just cut it right there. And, so you're a spiritual counselor, a shamanic, energy medicine healer, and a meditation teacher. And you run your own center. So, well, that's what we're going to talk about today. So welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
So I guess my first question is, I know it's always step by step, but what led you down this journey? Some people they're hit with something that changes them profoundly. Other people, it's just like little things that they pick up and they go, huh, and then they're down a path. So, what is your path? What was your path?
Well, I would say, I've been on the transformational path since I was 30. I'm now 63. But I think the biggest hit was when my youngest child was born chronically ill with cystic fibrosis,
Oh,
24 years ago. And I already had a child who was 3 years old at the time that the second daughter was born. And it kind of just threw me off. It didn't fit the
mhm,
pictures I had of my life. Cystic
mhm,
fibrosis, chronic, progressive, life-shortening, incurable mostly lung disease. And in my head and in those days, the average life expectancy was about 27 to 35. It's
mhm,
much higher now, and the medications are much better, and she's doing very well. But in the days that she was born,
mhm.
was a thought process of I'm going to watch this child die,
Right.
and there's only so much I can do. And instead of really rising to that, I decided that I would check out and that I wasn't going to participate. And I did that by starting to drink too much.
Mhm.
There was a day in there where I just looked at myself and I said, you know what? Not okay. Yes, it doesn't fit the pictures of what you have of your family and what your family is supposed to look like or what you thought it might look like. But
Mhm.
this is what it is. Time to take a new picture and pull yourself together and put your ass on the line and get in the game as this parent. Otherwise, you're going to miss what life this child does have. And
Mhm.
that was when I remembered having read some books written by Deepak Chopra when I was in
Mhm.
college, still
Right.
had some on the shelves, grabbed one, didn't realize he had at the time a center right here, 20 minutes from
Yeah.
my house in San
Wow.
Diego. So I put myself in one of his retreats. And these were the days when Deepak wasn't even a name. I
Right.
was one of 15 people in the class. And
Right. Right.
now it's 500, 1,000 in a room.
Mhm.
And he himself taught me how to meditate. And it was meditation that started to really transform my life. So I spent years working through Deepak and doing a lot of his other things, and ultimately decided to become a Chopra Center meditation teacher. And then
Very
I
cool.
opened Satsang House the day after I was certified. So that's how Satsang House came into being 10 years ago.
Mhm. Wow. Okay. And so I'm just putting myself in your mindset at the time, which, the checkout, which is not uncommon, right? It's like if it's overwhelming, you don't know where to start. Checkout is kind of a common response, right? Um, how long were you in checkout mode?
3 years.
3 years. Okay.
3 years. The first
Yeah.
3 years of a child's life.
Wow. And then to go into meditation, because I mean, not much else had changed except that you realize that you can't go on like this, right? So, how does one meditate through the mindset that you had at the time, the checkout? Like what was, how, well, no, let me not answer my own question. Go ahead.
Well, I think it was less about meditating through the checkout time and more about bringing my nervous system down and settling my physiology, because
Right.
in those days I was on the phone with doctors and pharmacies. She had 16 different medications at 5 different pharmacies, and they're all coming at different times, and clinic visits every 3 months, lung treatments twice a day, every day, 45 minutes each. And that's when she's well. And then I started tube feeding her. So here I am tube feeding her overnight. I essentially became a nurse.
Yeah, yeah.
And inside of that, the oldest daughter was sort of put over to the side because obviously you're
What
going to
can
be
you do?
caring
Yeah.
for the one who's sickest, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think when I was meditating, I know actually, when I first started meditating in subsequent years after, it was more about restoring my central nervous system to a ground state of being
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
manageable, where I wasn't hyperventilating through my life,
Hmm.
always waiting for the next shoe to drop, constantly anxious and worrying, and
Hmm.
um, just spinning. So it
Yeah.
was more about that. And that's how
Right.
I say to people that meditation saved my life, is because
Yeah.
I not, that was untenable, an untenable way to live. There's no way I could
Right.
that up.
Hmm. Hmm. So, I mean, in a sense, I mean, correct me, but when you were drinking, it was not the best way, but a way of seemingly to calm down that whole nervous system so you could function. And you were, in a sense, replacing that with something healthy and that would have permanent positive impacts.
Yes, and I've done a lot of work with Gabor Mate, who is an
Hmm.
expert in trauma healing.
Yeah.
And his biggest mantra is it's never about the addiction, it's about the pain underneath.
Right. Yeah.
So we could be out there addicted to shopping on Amazon or smoking pot or porn or whatever.
Anything. Yeah.
And it's not about that. It's
Yeah.
about, can you access the pain and actually heal?
Right.
And honestly, I did not see that until very recently, that I actually ended up in a kind of spiritual bypass.
Mm.
So instead of drinking, I replaced it with meditation and spirituality, and then teaching, and then creating the center and
Hmm.
everything I do. And
Hmm.
um, it took me until very recently. I had a
Mm.
big, big thing happen, and a really big meltdown. And the support I had, the trauma therapy I had, were the people who introduced the idea of this spiritual bypassing I've been doing all this time.
Right. Wow.
And
Skirt.
so going back to Gabor, it's
Hmm.
never about the addiction, whether it's
Yeah.
meditation or drinking or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was about the pain unprocessed and not, certainly not integrated, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, it's courageous of you to admit that because I mean, it's like a life savior, and yet it's a big bandage, and spiritual bypass is not that commonly talked about, but I mean, I agree completely with Gabor Mate on that point. But you also, in your bio, you said we never grow unless or until we're challenged. And so that's what made me think, you know this. So,
Mhm.
so
Right.
yeah. So the challenge then is, I mean, you were coping and coping way better, but what actually opened everything up where you could feel the pain and heal the pain?
Oh gosh. That is what I'm writing my book about. And it's a spiritual memoir, and it literally is about the last year of my life.
Okay.
Having been the most painful,
Mm,
yet the most transformative and the most healing of my life. And
mhm,
where I've been in a relationship with someone for about 3 years, and an avoidant type personality, that the
mhm,
closer we got, the more fearful he became. And
mhm,
when the relationship shifted into a really beautiful connection, he disappeared
mhm, mhm,
out of thin air.
mhm,
No response, no
mhm.
text, no call, no explanation. And what that did was activate every last one of my abandonment wounds
Yep.
from my childhood that I had never, honestly, I knew I had an inkling, right? I got a little abandonment thing
Mhm,
going.
mhm.
Um, but I didn't have this understanding until I was literally taken to my knees from this experience and realized that there was all of this unhealed childhood trauma that needed attention, and
Yep.
that me, as a healer, as a
Mhm,
spiritual counselor, someone who meditates, someone who works out, someone who does hypnotherapy and acupuncture and all these other modalities, there was nothing I had in my toolbox that was going to help me help myself.
Yep.
And I finally was literally at my final moments when I
Mhm.
reached out and put myself into a trauma treatment center.
Wow.
Literally saved
Yeah.
my literally saved my.
Wow. Mhm. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, when you're seeing somebody else's life as is your daily practice, it's a lot easier to see when you're in it. And I know. So
Yeah,
it's not you
right,
interviewing me, but I know what you mean. So, but it's
right.
funny how, yeah, with your own child, it's almost there you had the opportunity that life created for you to go through the abandonment issues, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
But there was resistance, right?
exactly.
Which is
And even
interesting,
today,
yeah.
on the back end of this, I have actually thanked that man
Yeah,
for
yeah,
discarding me,
yeah, yeah,
and let him know that it was the greatest gift of my life,
yeah,
and that there's no words in any language that can convey my gratitude to
yeah.
him,
Hmm.
because he literally saved my life
Hmm.
in all different ways.
Yeah.
Physically saved my life, but emotionally
Hmm.
completely healed,
Hmm.
helped. I mean, he didn't do it, I did it, but
Of
he
course.
was the catalyst, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And we do need to have a catalyst in our lives,
Hmm.
some sort of event that shakes the rug, right?
Hmm.
I mean, most people, nobody wants to deal with pain, right?
Yeah.
You're about to fall, you put your hands out, right? Nobody wants to fall on their face.
Hmm.
And that's no different than, somebody wanting to, let's just dredge up all this complex childhood trauma and let's just deal with it. No, it's not fun. And it's very painful,
Hmm.
very difficult. And it cannot be done lightly. And it
Hmm.
needs a safe container
Hmm. Hmm.
where there's tremendous compassion and expertise, right?
Mm.
Because looking back, I was until this point a wounded healer trying to heal,
Right. Right.
right?
Hmm.
Now on this side, I am a much more effective and profound healer as a result of what I've just experienced.
Yeah.
So the healing I have to give is far and away different than anything I've ever done
Hmm. Hmm.
before because
Yeah.
it's got a depth that wasn't there.
Right. But now you're going to attract the people who are ready for that. It's
Mm-hmm.
like before you might have attracted people that needed, a simple solution, just a
Mm-hmm.
change. So
Right.
I do think, or at least I've chosen to look at my life as effective all the time, just for different people. you know,
Right.
and
Yeah.
and as
Yeah.
I do my own deeper work and releases of that, then I can, yeah, now I feel like I'm really good now and open to the
Yeah.
world. Yeah.
Well, and I looked at, Satsang House and 10 years of my business and all
Hmm.
that. I went from the meditation to then becoming a spiritual counselor, um, and
Hmm.
that moved into the shamanic medicine healing more recently. And I look at that progression and sure, we can talk about it as spiritual bypassing, but on the flip side of that, I am 100% certain that if I had not had that foundation underneath me, I may not
Right.
be here today.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Exactly. I mean, it makes
It
sense, right?
saved my life, whether it was
Hmm.
a bypass or not to get me there, doesn't
Yeah.
matter,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
No, I think so. I mean, that's the idea of the journey, I think we're given a journey that
Mm-hmm.
is for us. It's like, and you can't, I mean, you might go faster, but you've got to have something that, in my mind too, kind of propels you, or something that you choose to notice, or that you can't help but notice. Like in your case, like, what can you do with that? You're absolutely, shocked by it. So you're going to go to the next level, right?
Well, that's part of why meditation is so profound because literally all we're doing in meditation is training ourselves to notice.
Right.
We're strengthening our noticing muscles. I'm going to notice when my thoughts want to hijack me and take me off.
Hmm.
And I'm going to keep bringing myself back, whether it's through
Hmm.
breath or mantra or whatever it is,
Hmm.
whatever modality of meditation you use, doesn't matter. It's all the
Hmm.
same thing. And it's that training in noticing
Hmm.
that is the part where I always tell my students, look, we're in formal meditation practice here. The real meditation is out there in the world. You're interacting with others.
Hmm.
That's when you're going to know if your practice is working, because
Yeah.
that's when you're going to notice how you interact with the grocery store clerk, how you interact with your best friend, how you resolve your differences, whether you even bother to repair, you know, and
Yeah.
that's the noticing that matters right there.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's all the practice in real life.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So how has it, I mean, it's very new and all that, but how, or has it changed your relationship to your daughter, or anything at this point? And how old is she now?
So I have two daughters. I have one that's
Right.
28 and the one with cystic fibrosis is 24.
Okay.
And she and I are extremely close, which makes sense. I've been her caregiver, her nurse, all of it, in and out of the hospital with her for years.
Yeah.
The relationship with the older one is actually quite strained
Hmm.
because, by all intents and purposes,
Yeah.
she inherited my own abandonment
Of
trauma,
course. Hmm.
right? The
Hmm.
intergenerational trauma wound is hers now,
Hmm.
unfortunately.
Hmm.
And for the past 2 years, she and I have not even spoken by her choice,
Really?
not
Yeah.
mine.
Yeah.
She has no idea the healing I've been through and what I've been through since she has not spoken to me. So she has no idea where I am, and that's okay.
Hmm.
She'll get there when she gets there, if she gets there. And I have
Hmm.
to just let go
Hmm.
of that outcome. It's unfortunate, but I completely understand why she would feel abandoned in her own right by me,
Hmm.
for sure.
Yep.
Because yeah, we only have a certain amount of bandwidth. That
Yeah.
doesn't excuse me. I am
Hmm.
accountable and I am responsible
Hmm.
for not having given her what she needed when she needed it. I have apologized and tried to make amends for that.
What would your life be like if you were pain free? If you were one of the millions who suffer from chronic pain, the thought of just one day without it may seem impossible. This is often because conventional medicine tends to fall short in the treatment of pain, opting to prescribe pills or recommend surgery rather than getting to the root cause of the problem. But if you are suffering with emotional or physical pain, there is hope. Join the founder and CEO of Bowen College, Manon Bolliger, live online for your body-mind reboot. Learn how to listen to your symptoms and get to the root cause of your pain. Plus, be trained in basic Bowen therapy moves so that you can reboot your body for optimal health. You don't have to live in pain. You can heal. Stop the pain pill cycle by visiting www.yourbodymindreboot.com to learn more and to register.
Um, but it does point to, hey, mom is human too,
Yep.
right?
But I think it takes time. Like, if I look in my own situation, there's certainly times of abandonment on my part. And I was also dealing, with stage 4 cancer. It can be a little all-encompassing. Um, so just a tiny bit. Anyway, but it's like it's things still impact and affect, and you're still the one who did it. You're still responsible for it. And it's only really when they kind of go through really, like, forgiven I have been, but to really get that, if they were in the same role, could they have done anything much better or different, or and then it's like back to humanity. I mean, there's only so much bandwidth, like what else can you do, right? And so I think when we remove that, the blame and the all that stuff, when they're no longer victims, which, I think we're there now. You know, my youngest is 28, so 27 now, sorry, 8. Anyway, I can't remember. She just had her birthday now. I'm upset. I'm not sure. But, and the others, they're older, right? So yeah, it's interesting, there's a point in which it's everyone's journey, and we choose how how much of that journey we're going to fault others for, rather than just learn from and go, yikes, that must have been weird or tough or hard, or,
Right. And I
Mhm.
think, that points to self-compassion, because
Yep,
without self-compassion, it's impossible to have compassion for someone else.
exactly.
And very few of us, especially women, give ourselves a break. And
Yep,
it's difficult to find compassion for others when we're so busy beating ourselves up.
yep, yeah. And that's no example, because if they see you beat yourself up, where are they going to learn it from? It has to be a full new experience, but it could just come from you, like going, gee, how can you be loving and love yourself, and yet you were such a, you know, abandoner, or you were whatever. And it's like, well, because you have to get through to the other side of it.
Yeah,
And I think that's a really good lesson, when we can be an example as well of what we've learned.
for sure.
You know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it shows up in a myriad of different ways that
Yeah.
you wouldn't even expect, just in conversation and passing moments and one simple interaction. I mean, I see the huge change in me since a year ago
Right.
because all the healing that I've done. And it's
Yeah.
not, and
No.
writing a book about it
Yeah.
just, brings it all up
Brings
again.
it.
Whatever still, there's little edges to some of that trauma that's still there.
Mhm.
Whatever that is, then it shows up again like, oh, there's still a little bit of charge on that one. I think I
Yeah.
need to work a little more here.
Right.
And I need to not just process, but integrate. And so there
Yeah.
are moments during the writing where I've said, I got to put this over here so
Mhm,
that
mhm.
I can process and integrate. The process of writing, though, itself has been quite an integration.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you're it's hard to not turn every stone eventually.
Right.
You know. Yeah. Um, you were saying shamanic healing. Was 5DMO? What type or music or
I do not do plant medicine ceremony.
Mhm,
I do illuminations. I work with the
mhm.
chakra system and do illuminations,
Okay.
clear the energy body. I do journeying to the past. I do soul retrievals,
Mm,
extractions of negative energies. I do
mhm,
death rites. So if
mhm.
to be able to clear your chakras and send you to the east. Um, and I do cord cuttings. So I
Okay.
do all of the very ancient practices. I'm part of the lineage of Machu Picchu, so the
Okay.
Caro tradition. And
Okay.
I also do fire ceremony. So each
Mm.
shaman group, I
Yeah.
guess, lineage, depending on the region and depending on the lineage, uses a particular element in their healing. So some might use water, some might use wind.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
my lineage uses fire. So
Mm,
fire ceremony as rapid transformation,
mhm.
which is one of my favorite things to do. In fact, we have a
Mm.
fire ceremony, we always at a full moon, so we have one Saturday. Uh,
Right.
so that's the work that I do is energetic healing.
Yeah.
So I'll pretty much start by diagnosing your chakras and
Mhm.
going.
Interesting. Can you expand a little bit more on that, just for people who don't? I've never done a ceremony of that type, but um, so what? Let's talk about the chakra one and the fire. What's
Okay.
involved in that, and because you said it was it was that those ceremonies, right? That really brought you sorry, that really brought you to that deeper seeing or understanding of what was
Yes, I went down. I traveled to Chile. Alberto Villoldo, who you
hmm
mentioned in the intro, is a Cuban American shaman
hmm
who has brought the Caro tradition lineage of shamanism to the United States for the most part. He has a retreat center down in Chile where he brings shamans from Machu Picchu to train other people in their practices. And these are ancient practices from
hmm
way back before the conquistadors.
yeah.
And just like burning the witches in
hmm
Massachusetts, if at the time of the conquistadors they arrived on shore and they found shamans, they probably would have killed all the shamans. So when the shamans of Machu Picchu knew, well, they weren't of Machu Picchu then, but the Caro tradition shamans were originally down by the coast, but the conquistadors came and
hmm
they knew they were in danger, so they ran up into the Andes. And that's
hmm
how Machu Picchu was built and the reason
mm
built.
Okay.
And that's where all the ancient healing practices
Yeah.
place was in Machu Picchu up in the Andes. And so these shamans that Alberto uses come from Machu Picchu down to his retreat center in Chile to train people like me in those practices. And so I spent a month down there in Chile, and we did fire ceremony every day for 30 days. And I learned all these ancient practices and the rites and rituals and all kinds of beautiful, beautiful healing practices. And shamanism uses the medicine wheel, and they use the 4 directions. So you start with the south. In the south direction, the archetype is the serpent. And the reason she is the serpent and the archetype of the south and where you begin is because the serpent sheds her skin. So the work of the South is for us to shed all these old stories that no longer serve us. Then we go to the West, and the archetype of the West is the jaguar. And the reason it's the jaguar is the jaguar can see 6 to 7 times better than human beings in the dark. The work of the West is the dark work, the shadow sides of us we don't want to confront. And once done the work of the serpent and the jaguar, then we moved into the north, and the archetype of the north is the hummingbird. And it is the hummingbird because after we've been slithering on our bellies and then we're stealth in the dark, we're now starting to take flight. We've released some of that past, and we're starting to take flight. Well, a hummingbird can fly to Canada and South America on one flight, and all they're looking for is the nectar of life. So the work of the North is ancestral. We start to look at our ancestrals, our grandparents, all of that, but also, where's the beauty of life? Now that I've gotten rid of some of this past, where's the beauty? And look for the beauty. Then the work of the East is the eagle or the condor. And the work of that direction is, now that you've done all that other work, you're flying high above the mountaintops like an eagle, and you're looking at the world from a macroscopic point of view. Instead of what's in it for me and it's all about me, how can I be of service to the world, and why am I even here? So that's a very rudimentary way to describe the
it's great though.
work of the 4 directions. And so that's a lot of the work that I did for myself. And then I became part of the lineage. And then inside of the lineage, then I call on them to work through me to you.
Right.
So in chakra system that you asked about, that's primarily an illumination. And what that looks like is I will help put you into a trance using acupressure points behind your head. And when I know that you're in a sort of trance state, then I know you're a little more suggestible, just like a hypnotherapist would do that too, moving you into a gamma brainwave state. And once I know that, then I have you look around for energy. Our energetic body is about 6 to 8 inches off of our physical body. I liken it to like a plate glass window. And any trauma or event that may have happened to you as you were growing up is sort of like a wet mud clod thrown at that window. And it sticks on our energetic body. And if we don't, that trauma or that experience, and if we don't clean the window, so to speak, that will move and manifest into our physical body as disease, whether it's heart disease or cancer or thyroid issues or bone issues, depending on which chakra is affected. So I diagnose the chakras, and we always work from the bottom up, the first chakra being the base of your spine. We work from the chakra closest to Mother Earth, and then we move up, because the higher up you go, the closer you are to your spiritual self. The lower 3 are usually the ones that are tripped up for most of us, because they're all about our will, our survival, our primal instincts, our all of our adrenal glands. each
Yeah.
chakra is managed by a particular organ in your body. It also has a particular element that is associated with it, like wind, fire, water, air. Um, and each one has an age. So, for instance, the first chakra, anything that may have happened to you between the ages of 0 and 7 years old retains its energy in the first chakra.
Okay.
Then it's 7 to 14, 14 to 21, 21 to 28, 28 to 35, and so on. So we have to keep those bottom three clear so we can get to the heart chakra, which is the fourth chakra, the center of our energetic system.
Yeah.
If we don't get to the heart chakra, we can never get to our center of creativity, our psychic center, and our spiritual center. So primarily, I work with the bottom three because that's just how we are as Americans.
Right.
And those are usually the ones that are stuck or the pendulum will go backwards or not even move when I'm diagnosed.
Right.
So I will open that chakra up. I will illuminate it. You will set an intention for that chakra. I'll close it back up, move energy down and out through, back to Pachamama, back to Mother Earth. That's an illumination process.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, it sounds great. I mean, what a wonderful thing to have such a variety of insights and tools, to be able to, well, and also for you to actually have grown through it on top of that even more. It's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I feel, I have no idea where I got the sense of the shamanic piece. I do remember reading a book and hearing about Alberto's center and then looking it up, and then right on the screen it said, when spirit calls, answer. And I was like, oh my God, I guess I gotta go.
Yeah.
But that's how it works, right?
It is how it works. Yeah. I don't know if you noticed lights when we were talking. Yeah, that's kind of okay. Very interesting.
Affirmation.
Yeah, affirmations. I mean,
Affirmation.
it's up to us to see it or not see it, right?
That's right. That's right.
Anyway,
That's
so
it.
Maggie,
Well, and that's it, right? I mean, most
yeah,
of us are not paying any attention to our intuitive voice.
right.
Your intuitive voice is right every single time. I've had my daughter ask me questions. She's starting her business and she asked me questions about the lease and etc. And I, instead of answering, just say, what does your gut tell you? Because that's who you should be listening to, not me.
Yeah.
Gut is always right. If you feel like something is off, something's off.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's certainly been one of my biggest like not lessons I haven't learned yet. Like that's the truth. It's like I've come to the distinction between instinct and intuition. I think those are different. I know where they're coming from. So instinct being much more primordial and, like fight, flight, knowing, oh, I need to move from this street or I'm not gonna I'm gonna lock the door before I get out of this garage or whatever the story might be. That would be an instinct, but an intuition it comes differently to me, And it's funny, it's like the levels, a lot of the work I did with Gabor Mate actually was on intuition for about 10 years. I kept needing to understand that deeper and deeper. And I would say that at this stage, I'm just beginning again. Like I felt like, oh, I got this. And then it's nope. We gotta go deeper. So anyway.
Well, I think it's easy for us to second guess ourselves.
Right.
question our own thoughts.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
it's best if we don't.
Well, it gets messy, right? Because, yeah, or if you use a pendulum or you use something
Yeah.
that you think that you imbue with power, like, or that you're where you're coming from isn't exactly as clear as clean can be because you really want to know the answer if there's attachment. Like at the moment
Yes.
there's anything else, it's not a reading, you know,
Right.
right? And
No,
it's
and
like,
you bring up a really good point is the
mm,
attachment, right?
mhm,
Because when we
yeah.
have the attachment to the outcome, it's never going to happen,
Well,
right?
and then you're not reading your intuition,
Right. And
right?
I was just having this conversation with someone I was teaching meditation with this morning about, being able to just plant the seed and let go.
Yep, yep.
I don't, none of us go out there and plant flowers and go out every day and dig it up and see if it's growing, see if the seed is sprouting,
Yeah.
right? And if we
Yep.
do that, we're interfering.
Yep.
We have to be able to just plant the seed and water it as best we can and back off
Mhm, mhm.
and trust that the universe has your back. The
Right.
universe is taking care of all of it. It's the
Yeah,
grand orchestrator. And
exactly.
and gratitude is,
Hmm.
it's the only place we can stand on a daily basis with any
Yeah.
fundamental stability. And
Yep.
it's gratitude for the things we don't have that we think we need or want. It's
Hmm.
gratitude for all that we do have,
Yeah.
and even gratitude for the difficult times.
Yep. Well, that's, certainly in health, that's you
Yeah.
know, learning to be grateful for, this dis-ease is
Right.
it's quite a step. But Maggie, we are so past our time, but
Oh,
I feel like we could easily have a second conversation.
yeah.
But yeah, I'll keep it at, a little over half an hour because that's what people are used to. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And if you do want to come back again, maybe when you get
Sure.
your book, or if you want to talk about the different elements, like we talked a bit about fire, but that would be, that would be
Wonderful. I'm
wonderful. Yeah.
happy to come back. It's been a delight. Thank you so much for having
Okay.
me. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for joining us at the Healers Cafe. If you haven't already done so, please like, comment, and subscribe with notifications on, as I post a new podcast every Wednesday with tons of useful information and tips for natural healing that you won't want to miss.